Alright, what is going on, everybody? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I hope you're having a good day. It's a new week, which means it's a new devlog. I've been making some progress on specifically adding some hands to the game. Woo! I know I said I wasn't going to add hands until after the demo release, but I couldn't help myself. And to be honest, I'm just procrastinating working on actual levels because level design is hard. So, I want to go over the things that I've changed and added to the game. Alright, number one, like I mentioned, hands. Look at the hand. You can see the hand now. Yeah, that's about it. Weapon swaying. I've improved the movement of the arms when you're walking around, or the view model, so that they actually smoothly transition now instead of jumping from one way to the next. I've also implemented a separate camera for the view model, so now when you walk into a wall, your arm will not clip into the wall. Okay, let's grab this pistol, and you can see how the other hand is robotic, because one of the later concepts is that you're going to be able to actually equip different hands that will have different abilities. I probably should redo the nav mesh. Anyway, you may notice that the animation is different on the revolver. The revolver, I made it shoot faster, deal less damage, so it works better as a proper starter weapon. You also notice there's a different texture, and this is something I want your guys' feedback on. And I'm going to talk about that later, so just ignore that in a second. It's also a slightly different model. It's more simplified to fit in with the art style of the rest of the game. Yeah, you will also notice hit markers too, so if I hit an enemy, a little red mark will appear around to see that you've hit them, like so. Yeah, you may have also noticed that there's no reloading. What? I know I said I was going to have reloading. Maybe I'll have it in the end, maybe I won't. I'm not sure yet. But the point is that, I don't know, it just feels a little bit weird to have a boomer shooter with reloading. You want to be shooting all the time, and constantly having to reload is just not that fun. I know I mentioned the weapon switching thing, but still, I felt that it made the starter weapon simply not very useful. I've also improved the kick too, so it looks a little bit better, uses a more proper look instead of just being in jeans. It also now applies forces to ragdolls, which is very fun because now you can kick ragdolls around. Not very useful, but it's fun. You can also kick the jibs, but they tend to go a little bit further than they probably should. I mean, I could work to fix that, but I think it's pretty funny how it is, so that'll probably stay. As far as the actual level goes so far, I haven't really changed that much. I've added a little bit more of a landscape. It's not really a landscape. It looks pretty awful right now, but you know, it's a start. Let's see. I've also added this little pentagram thing that you can see. This will rotate around. It's not finished yet. This is a work in progress, but essentially enemies will spawn in through one of these, similar to how you'd expect from Doom. So the pentagram will be on the ground, spin around, make some noise, and poof, there'll be an enemy there for you to fight now. I've also, because I've added hands, I have had to redo all the weapons and their animations. I decided that I wanted to do a double barrel shotgun instead, because it's not a boomer shooter without a super shotgun, and having a shotgun and super shotgun just seems kind of redundant, and so I made a model for a double barrel shotgun. And it works pretty much the same way as the old shotgun did, except for the spread is higher, but the damage is higher, as you would expect from a super shotgun, and so it really forces you to get up close and personal with the enemies if you want to actually hit anything. The animation is okay. It could maybe use a little bit of work. Sound effects are okay too. I haven't really been able to find a good sound effect for the shotgun that I really like, especially for a super shotgun. I probably want one that's a bit more meaty and explosive, but I'm not a sound designer, so I have to rely on the kindness of other people in releasing sounds under the Creative Commons license. But I've also, you may have noticed, the harpy enemy is now working pretty much fully. I'm not super in love with the enemy, to be honest. It's it's unique because of the way that it attacks. However, I find that it's fun to fight on its own, but when it's in a group, it's definitely a lot less fun. And I still need to do some tweaking, such as giving it some rotation instead of having it just snap to you, which looks a little bit strange. But you can see the idea, and yeah, I don't think I'll get rid of it, but I don't know, I'm not quite sure. If you guys have any suggestions on how I could implement this better, should I just give him regular projectile attack? Other ideas. There's a dash attack, like a dash ability that he has that's a work in progress. It's pretty much working, but I'm not a huge fan of how it works right now, at least how it looks and feels in the combat. It just feels like he kind of dashes randomly, because he does. So I want to find a way to make it so that it dashes in a way that is feels like it reacts to the player in an engaging way. Yeah. A lot easier to take down now that I've added a double barrel shotgun. So, as I mentioned with the revolver and the shotgun having a different art style, I want your guys' feedback on this. So, I'm definitely not an artist, very amateur in that field when it comes to, in that area when it comes to making games. And so, when I'm making textures, there's a combination of a bunch of different things. Like, for example, this stone texture is a texture I found online for free at, I think, called CG Trader. And I took it and downscaled it, right? Super simple, pretty basic. But for texture like the hands or the stopwatch, I actually draw that in Blender using the texture paint tool. And that's what I had done for my shotgun and SMG that I previously had. But for the revolver, you'll remember it's actually different. So I'm going to pull up Blender. This is the model that I originally had for the revolver, which is the first gun I think I've ever made in Blender, so I'm quite proud of it. It's not amazing by any standards, but I think it looks quite nice for what it's trying to be, which is a low poly revolver model. But texture-wise, it's actually an image that I've taken and stretched and modified and use different parts of it for different parts of the model, and it ends up creating this really kind of unique look. I kind of quite like it. Older games did use a lot of images as their textures, but because the other two weapons weren't using those images, I figured, okay, well, I should try to make a revolver that doesn't use an image to fit in with the other guns. And so I tried that, and I'm not super happy with the result. I'm no artist, but I feel that this style is a little bit too cartoonish for the style of game I'm going for. This isn't something that I would expect to see in an older game. Like a Quake weapon would certainly never look like this. It looks something more out of Minecraft, Fortnite, Roblox, whatever, right? So I'm not loving this, but another option is to do a slightly different kind of pixel art style. So what I've done here with this, I haven't done it with any of the other textures, but I'm trying this, using a limited texture palette. So I'm using this texture palette called More64, which you can find at lowspec.com, I believe. And essentially, instead of using a smoothing tool, which is what I would do on my such as this one, right? I draw out a color, smooth it, and then occasionally use a textured brush, like for this handle here. But for this, instead of using a textured brush or using smoothing, which you can see if I smooth it out, you can see how it's very much changes the look of it. Instead, I'm using dithering and a limited texture palette, which creates this really harsh contrast. But it gives the weapons kind of this gritty look. It's something that Quake and Dusk do. And so I'm interested to see, I would love feedback on, do you like how this looks? Do you like how this looks more? Do you like how something like this looks more? Do you like how something like this looks more, right? Personally, I like the image option and I like this option. This option is a little bit more work, but it's a little bit more unique and it's kind of fun to do. As you can see, there's only probably 6 colors on this, but I guess there's probably 7 colors on this. but it looks cool. I like it. So I really want your feedback on which option should I go for, and how detailed should the guns be, do you think, for a retro style game? I'm looking at something like from Dusk, right? The great example, like the guns in Dusk are about as primitive as it gets, right? And that's definitely not what I've gone for. You can see the revolver. There's lots of small details on here. It is a simple model, as you can see, but if you look at it from a just viewport shading, but it's still complex modeling wise compared to something like this. So, what do you guys think? Could I lean more into the basic look, or do you like what I've gotten so far? You can see for this other model, I did simplify a little bit, and gave it well, for one, I modeled it more efficiently. The topology on this is very questionable in some areas, but for this one, I tried to be a little bit smarter about my modeling, and also not have so many unnecessary parts of the model that are actually physical 3D models, because older games didn't have the space to do stuff like that. So these little holes, right, are part of the texture instead of being part of the actual model. But yeah, I really want your guys' feedback on this, and if I did go with this pixel art dithering style, is this something that I should do for the rest of the stuff in the game? Should I take this color palette and limit and put the textures of the ground or the hands or whatever through this limiter and try to get everything consistently the same color? That could be something interesting to explore. So yeah, please give me your feedback on this. And yeah, that's what I've got so far. I think this is week 4, and hopefully between now and next week, if I have time to work on it, I will have a semblance of a endless mode level or a campaign level to show off. And once I have a few of those, then release a demo and then just keep working on it until I'm satisfied with it. So yeah, thanks for watching, and leave a comment on which art style you like best. So yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.